Hey guys, today's the day we are going to change the oil on the 4Runner. This will be the first oil change since I've owned it. I have it all set up in the garage, so I'll show you my setup. This little guy said he was going to help, and now look, he's tired. Here's the 4Runner all set up, and I am huge on safety when it comes to getting underneath the vehicle. So I am using car ramps here. These are 8,000 pound capacity. I don't feel 100% secure being underneath a vehicle with just ramps. So I have one set of jack stands there, and then we have a second set of heavy duty truck jack stands, which are sitting underneath the lower control arm. So I have two sets of jack stands, plus the car ramps, plus emergency brake on, and chocks behind the rear wheels. I refuse to get crushed by a car, and I've been working on cars my whole life, so I'm still alive. There's my trick. This is what I have for the oil change. Toyota OEM. We are going to use the oil filter housing in the 4Runner is plastic. We're going to change that out today with a metal. This part right here is short. The one in the 4Runner is a little bit taller, so we'll have to change that part out. And we have the OEM oil filter itself and two new O-rings. This piece, you'll see how it's used as we get underneath the truck. And we have new drain plug gaskets. This tool right here will fit actually inside to take the filter housing off when we're underneath. All right, we're underneath the vehicle here, and skid plate will have to come off here. I believe it's only 4 bolts, which are 1, 2, and then 2 in the rear, which I think are up here in these little holes here. That will come down. That will give us access to the oil filter housing. And then if you slide back further, you'll see this plate. I believe it's two 12 millimeter bolts. That little plate will come down, and we'll be able to access the drain plug to drain the oil out. 12 millimeter for the little cover that holds the drain plug. It looks like the drain plug is 12 millimeter also, so we'll have the oil start draining, and then we'll take the front part of the skid plate off. So before we take the drain plug off of the oil pan, we're going to remove the oil filler cap, and this will allow for some pressure release in the system. It'll allow the oil to drain out a little bit more freely and more thoroughly. So I'll just put this to the side here, and we'll go back underneath the car and take the plug off. So 14 millimeter, we're going to remove the drain plug, let it drain out, and then remove the skid plate. This is 6.6 quarts of oil. So this is a 7-quart container, which will take it right up to the top, or a 7-quart catch. So I have a backup just in case. I don't want it to get too high where I can't move it. And then all right, I have the drain plug here. So I'm gonna take that out, replace the gasket, and clean it all up. The oil has drained out, so I'm gonna replace the drain plug. But I have the new gasket on there. It comes in these packages. I believe there's 10 in there, so I'm good for a while with those. But anyway, you make sure that you remove all the dirt, debris from the threads, and the face of the washer, and then put the new gasket in. Make sure you wipe the face where the drain plug goes. Make sure there's no sand or debris there. That'll prevent sealing. Do not over tighten this bolt. You don't want to strip your drain pan, your oil pan. That'll be an absolute nightmare. All right, I'm gonna drop this skid plate. It should only be 4 12mm bolts. So 2 in the back, 2 up front, and it should come right off, hopefully. So I am gonna replace this with a TRD aluminum piece soon. Still trying to figure out which one I want. All right. Now it looks like it clips and just swings down here. That does come down. A lot easier to work with it down. All right. Let me show you the filter housing here. All right, so laying directly underneath, I have the oil filter housing that's plastic. So we're gonna change that out. And then we have this piece right here. So we're gonna remove this first. That plastic piece will pop in and we can drain the oil from the housing before we remove the housing, and then all the oil comes out. So let's take this out and then we'll change out from plastic to metal as well. All right, so we have 3/8 ratchet with just an extension that'll fit right in the bottom here. I'm gonna loosen that. No. All right, the whole housing is turning, so usually that would come out and then you can drain. So the whole housing is turning with it. So I have a couple options. I can hold the housing and then remove that to remove the oil, or I can remove the whole housing and then the oil will just come out pretty sloppily, but it'll come out. So let me figure out what I'm gonna do here. Okay. The oil's gonna start to drip down soon here. And I'm gonna take a little bit of an oil bath, I suspect. So let's get this in place. I don't make too much of a mess. Let's see. And there you have it. So hopefully next time we do an oil change, this little piece right here will come out. If you can see it, I don't know if the camera will pick it up. That'll come out and the filter housing will stay in place, so we don't have to deal with that. So I will let that drain, clean everything up. We'll change this out now. All right guys, so we have the old filter and housing and then a new one here. So please make sure we have to replace this rubber O-ring right here. And when you replace it, you make sure it goes in the exact same groove. I've seen people replace and put into the wrong groove and have issues. So whether you're reusing the same filter housing or you're replacing to a new one, you're going to use a new O-ring and make sure that it goes in the exact correct groove. My neighbor is doing some landscaping, so this old filter, this is the actual filter, will come out. It'll be replaced with that. So as you can see where the filter sits on the insert right here, this one's quite a bit higher than the new one. So we'll take that out, clean it up, and replace that one. And then we'll put the new filter on and put everything back together. Be aware, I don't know if this is going to pick up. Right down in there, there are these grooves, and there's a tab right in the center. And those tabs need to be bent up in order for this to rotate and come out. So there's 3 pieces that were inside the housing. There's the insert that we're swapping out, and these are the tabs that I was talking about. We have that tab there, but I only had to bend it up on one side, which is right here, if you can see that. And I was able to get it out. So it sits on top of the spring, and then the spring sits on top of that piece right there. And then it gets pushed down and locked in with those tabs. So, okay, it's all in. That was not a problem. Let's see if I can focus down there. I was able to just put it in and put those tabs back down, so it's, let's see if this shows, it's locked It won't come out now. So I'll put the filter on. There. I will swap the O-rings out here. There will be an O-ring on that bottom piece right there that'll fit inside that groove. And we'll put it all back in. I have the new O-ring in and lubricated. I have the tool, and I'll put a link in the description below, but it's Motive X Tools, designed specifically for Toyota. And I'll put, that'll actually fit perfectly in there. I'll go gonna clean the oil filter housing up here before we put the new one in. All right, new one's in with the new O-ring. All right, we got the metal plug all cleaned up. New O-ring, which will go right in the recess. It has a little lube on it as well, a little oil. And then I'll put the plug in. And then we'll tighten that one up. All right. We're gonna fill it up with oil. We're gonna run it, make sure we have no leaks, and then we can put the cover for the drain plug back on, the skid plate back on, and we will be finished. Mobile 1020, the first pour to make sure you get into the funnel is the most important pour. You don't want to get oil running down the side of your engine. What a nightmare to clean up. So this will take 6.6 quarts. We have success with the first pour, thank goodness. And so we'll take one full 5-quart jug and then 1.6 out of the next jug.